Hello and welcome. You're watching UTV Live at 6.
Good evening. These are the stories making the headlines.
The ambulance service appeals for 999 calls only to be made in life-threatening circumstances as crews face the longest wait times ever outside our emergency departments.
There is something very badly wrong with our system, and one has to ask about the Minister and his winter preparedness plan because it appears now like it's completely obliterated.
2 people are rushed to hospital after an explosion at a house in East Belfast.
And nominations open for Mike Nesbitt's replacement as leader of the Ulster Unionist Party.
Also tonight, local children get a giant opportunity to hit the rink with our skating stars.
And an ice warning in place for tonight. More cold weather on the way, but I'll have all the details coming up later in the programme.
The Northern Ireland Ambulance Service has warned that it is under exceptional and unprecedented pressure this evening, with its ability to respond to 999 calls being severely affected. They say the level of delays for ambulance crews outside emergency departments has never been seen before, leaving them unable to respond to new 999 calls.
As a result of these pressures, the public has been asked to only use 999 for life-threatening emergencies. Well, our health correspondent Deborah McAleese joins us live from outside ambulance headquarters. Deborah, what's the situation like there now?
Well, Rose, tonight here at the control centre, staff are answering an extremely high volume of calls, and there are a large number of patients in the community still waiting for an ambulance response. Now, it was about 3 weeks ago when the ambulance service first raised their pressure levels to the highest level, that's level 4. But what has made the past 48 hours particularly challenging is the length of time that ambulance crews are having to spend outside emergency departments before they can hand over the patients into the hospital care. Now, the ambulance service has said that they have never before seen handover delays of this intensity. So that means that there are less crews available to respond to calls within the community. Earlier today, the ambulance service apologised to a man in his 70s who fell on the main street in Downpatrick early this morning, and he had to wait around 5 hours for an ambulance. Now, he had some suspected fractures, and there was a lot of concern for him within the community, and the ambulance service apologised. But the nearest ambulance that was able to come to the man was at the Ulster Hospital, and it was delayed there for several hours. Now, at 2:30 today, one of the longest handover delays was around 10 hours. Now, SDLP MLA Colin McGrath, he said that what happened in Downpatrick is just another example of the terrible situation that some patients are finding themselves in.
Regrettably, this is a regular story that we hear, and all roads lead to the fact that ambulances are stuck outside very busy emergency departments and they're not able to get released to be out on the road and able to deal with the situations that people are facing. But it is a sign that there is something very badly wrong with our system, and one has to ask about the Minister and his winter preparedness plan because it appears now like it's completely obliterated.
Can the hospitals do anything to help get the ambulance crews turned round more quickly?
Well, look, Rose, whenever you see those large queues of ambulances outside emergency departments, you know that that conveyor belt in and out of the hospital is pretty much broken. Now, hospital trusts are doing the best that they can to try and free up beds on wards to make way for new patients. But due to pressures within community care, that is extremely difficult. Now, you have emergency departments currently advising patients not to attend unless it is a complete emergency. You have the ambulance service advising people not to call 999 unless it is life-threatening. But you really do worry about those people who might fall through the cracks and not attend for emergency care or call an ambulance until it is much too late.
Deborah, thank you very much.
Two people were rushed to hospital after a suspected gas explosion at a house in East Belfast this afternoon. It's understood that one other person at the property in Lower Braniel Road escaped without injury.
An investigation is now underway to establish exactly how and why the blast happened. Our reporter Daniel Duffy has been to the scene.
The damage was clear to see at this property on the Lower Braniel Road in East Belfast following a suspected gas explosion. The emergency services were called to the scene shortly before 12:30 this afternoon. The fire service, ambulance service, our ambulance and the police all attended the scene. Two people were treated here by paramedics before being taken to the Royal Victoria Hospital by ambulance.
Basically, shortly after 12:30 there was a gas explosion at one of the properties behind us here on the Lower Braniel Road. Two maintenance workers unfortunately were caught up in the explosion and have been rushed away by emergency services for medical treatment. I understand that a tenant was also in the house at the time, but they don't seem to have sustained any serious injuries. Only a couple of neighbouring properties have been disrupted and damaged. The damage next door doesn't seem to be too bad. I was engaging with housing executive earlier on just to make sure that anybody who needs to be temporary housed for the evening is sorted.
The road was closed for a time but has since reopened. The cordon may have been reduced, but the investigation into what happened here remains ongoing. Daniel Duffy, UTV Live in East Belfast.
Nominations have opened to replace Mike Nesbitt as leader of the Ulster Unionist Party. As yet, no one has formally announced that they will run. Well, let's talk about this to our reporter now, Paul Riley. So, Paul, what is the party saying?
OK, well, we've been waiting on this information, Paul, since Mike Nesbitt announced on Friday he would be standing down as leader. Nominations are now open for the role of leader and deputy leader. The nominations will remain open until next Thursday, the 15th, and then the party membership will gather on the 31st of this month at an East Belfast hotel to elect the leader and the new deputy leader. So whose names are in the frame? Well, one name you couldn't have avoided over the last number of days in the headlines is John Burrows. He's the newly co-opted MLA for North Antrim, a relative newcomer to politics, a former senior police officer. Nothing official from John Burrows' camp today, but we do expect to hear from him tomorrow, and we expect he will throw his hat in the ring. The other name in the mix is Robbie Butler, the current deputy leader of the party. Now, it's my understanding that Robbie Butler was minded not to run last night. That has possibly changed today. He's weighing up his options. It's my understanding Robbie Butler has a lot of support from the Assembly group of MLAs at Stormont and senior figures within the party. Now, the big challenge for Robbie Butler, if he does run, is it's our understanding that John Burrows has been backed by Diana Armstrong. They'll reportedly run on a joint ticket. Why is that significant? Well, Diana Armstrong is the MLA for Fermanagh South Tyrone. That association in Fermanagh South Tyrone is sizable. That brings a lot of votes for John Burrows.
So what happens next then?
Well, provided this is a contest, and a lot of people want it to be a contest rather than a coronation, the party says it will host two internal members-only hosting events for those candidates to speak directly to the membership. The party chair, Lord Elliott, has described this as a pivotal moment for the party, and indeed this will be a pivotal 24 hours for the party as we wait and see who's going to throw their hat in the ring to become the next leader and deputy leader.
Paul Riley, thank you.
A man in his 20s is fighting for his life following a crash involving a lorry in Ocher in County Tyrone.
The air ambulance was called to the scene just after 8 this morning. Sarah O'Kane reports.
The crash happened on the A4 road to Ballygolly near Ocher after 8 o'clock this morning. The area remained closed throughout the day as investigators assessed what happened. The ambulance service say they dispatched one emergency ambulance along with the air ambulance. Emergency services were called to the scene of this serious crash involving a lorry just outside of Ocher at around 8:10 this morning. One person was taken by ambulance to Craigavon Area Hospital. Another person had to be airlifted to the Royal Victoria Hospital in Belfast. Tonight, the PSNI say the driver of the car involved in the collision, a man aged in his 20s who was taken to the RVH by air ambulance, remains in a critical condition, and the driver of the lorry isn't believed to have been seriously hurt. Police are appealing to anyone who may have been in the area around the time of the crash to contact them, especially anyone who may have dash cam footage. The road has now reopened. Sarah O'Kane, UTV Live, Oher.
A body has been found during searches for a missing County Tyrone man. The discovery was made close to the Church Heights in Cookstown this afternoon, and the scene remains sealed off. Formal identification has not taken place, but the family of Taylor Stewart has been informed. The 21-year-old was last seen in the area on New Year's Day.
Car dealers say that they have been left in limbo by having to follow new post-Brexit trading rules, which will mean that some makes and models of cars will be unavailable in Northern Ireland while they wait for promised legislation from the government to fix the problem.
Under the Windsor framework, from the start of this year, all new vehicles sold here must have EU approval. But some manufacturers only register their vehicles under a GB scheme, meaning that they cannot be sold by dealers here. Here's our economics correspondent, Jordan Motes.
Buying a brand new car is an expensive move. Buyers are often looking for a specific make and model. What approval the vehicle has is likely the last thing they think about. But from the 1st of January, that's a bigger part of new car sales than many realise. In simple terms, all new cars here need to have EU type approval, and those with only GB approval can't be sold.
Manufacturer will always look for a competitive advantage, and therefore building to GB type approval means that they can sell vehicles cheaper than those that were built to a higher spec of European whole vehicle type approval. The legislation basically coming in is saying that as part of where we are as a result of the Windsor framework, we cannot import vehicles from GB unless they are built to European whole vehicle type approval. So from the 1st of January, dealers are finding an inability to order certain vehicles. Indeed, some manufacturers have stopped making some of their models available in Northern Ireland at all.
With 45,000 new cars sold here every year, the industry is worth more than £3 billion. There are fears that a permanent rule change could curtail the sector by 20% and as a result put a question mark over the viability of some dealers.
For car dealers, this problem is no real surprise. They have been sounding the alarm for over a year now. They've been in front of committees at Stormont and engaged with politicians at Westminster. And while their message may have eventually got through, it didn't get through in time.
Just 13 days before the new rules came in, the government announced its intention to legislate to ensure all vehicles are dual registered to both the EU and GB schemes. The Transport Minister Simon Lightwood said at the time, "We're aware of the importance of an effective single UK market for vehicles, which is important for maintaining consumer choice as well as business flexibility on how they source and supply vehicles. I'm committed to resolving this and will take steps necessary to ensure that businesses and consumers in Northern Ireland are not disadvantaged compared to those in Great Britain." However, in the meantime, dealers here have to follow the new rules and have called for a grace period to put in place until the legislation is passed.
The Secretary of State has called for evidence with a closing date of the 12th of February. So that's just the closing date for evidence. We have no idea how long it will take to introduce the legislation. And in the meantime, customers and dealers here will be at a disadvantage. And this uncertainty is bringing into question, I'm sure, for dealerships about their investment for the future. We're left now with a hiatus in the meantime, and it makes no sense to continue with the situation that we have at the moment where we can't bring GB type approved vehicles into Northern Ireland. So we call upon the government to fix this situation now.
If you are planning on buying a new car, don't be surprised if the one you want may not be available. Jordan Motes, UTV Live.
The Prime Minister has indicated that further protections for veterans could be added to the government's Troubles Bill.
The new legislation is currently going through Parliament and it is designed to replace the previous controversial Legacy Act. Stuart Robson reports.
Mr. Speaker, can I begin by saying I hope all colleagues had a happy Christmas. It probably feels quite a long time ago now.
A new year in Parliament as the government continues to grapple with Northern Ireland's past, repealing and replacing previous controversial legislation. Today, the DUP asked the Prime Minister about the likelihood of further protections for veterans in Labour's new bill.
What we have heard is true, that the Ministry of Defence and the Northern Ireland Office intend to bring forward government amendments that will specifically and particularly protect veterans, and that they will offer protection.
And for the first time, the Prime Minister hinted at amendments to it.
We've been meeting with veterans' organisations and listening to their views, and when the bill reaches the committee stages, the House will see the result of those considerations, and you'll be pleased to hear that.
It's something Sinn Féin says it won't accept, stating that there can be no side deals or protections for veterans, adding that everyone must be equal before the law. A key aspect of the new legacy process is a joint framework with the Irish Government. As the Prime Minister was speaking in Westminster, Ireland's Foreign Affairs Minister Helen McEntee was meeting some parties here at Stormont. With legacy high on the agenda, Ms McEntee said any changes must be fully agreed between both governments.
We have been very clear, and as has the Secretary of State, that we will work closely together and that there wouldn't be any significant changes or indeed adjustments to the legislation without full agreement of both governments. We need to be working closely together on this, and we need to make sure that what was agreed is what is reflected in the legislation once it's fully enacted.
The Minister previously met with the First and Deputy First Ministers. This was an opportunity to meet with Alliance, the UUP and SDLP. On legacy, Alliance said it will continue to hold both governments to account.
I think any further delay would be unconscionable. Some of these families have been waiting 50 plus years to get answers about their loved ones, and I don't think it would be acceptable for either the UK government or the Irish government to oversee any further delays.
The SDLP said any changes will need to be examined carefully.
Anything that undermines the ability for us to move forward in legacy terms and jeopardises what little progress has been made, we will be scrutinising it, and if necessary we'll be opposing it.
Focus will now be on what the government's amendments might look like before they're voted on in Parliament. Stuart Robson, UTV Live.
And still to come on the programme, the £5 million investment which will transform Belfast's Cathedral Gardens.
And a giant opportunity for these children as they hit the ice with our skating stars. Time now to look at the headlines making tonight's ITV News at 6:30.
Here's Mary Nightingale.
Coming up on the programme, the United States says its forces have seized a Russia-linked oil tanker, having tracked it across the Atlantic. On social media, the US European Command said the merchant vessel was seized for violations of US sanctions. Scotland's schools are closed for a third day as Storm Goretti looms. Amber weather warnings are in place across parts of the country for tomorrow. And sheep on a shopping spree in this supermarket in Bavaria. Well, do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Belfast City Council is investing £5 million into Cathedral Gardens, hoping to transform the space into somewhere safe and enjoyable for those who live, work and study in the city.
It means that a previous £300,000 investment during the COVID pandemic will be paved over. However, the council has said that it was money well spent at the time. Eden Wilson reports.
This is Cathedral Gardens today. Unloved, unclean, and for the most part, unused. This neglected garden is in desperate need of regeneration, and that's exactly what's coming next year. Here's a peek at what Cathedral Gardens will look like. £5 million will be pumped in from Belfast City Council to give this place some purpose. Greenery, lighting projections, an interactive play zone, and a dedicated space for festivals and food markets.
It's a lot of money to invest in the city centre, and we will have a plan in place that will hopefully keep that intact, and obviously it will be used all the time, so there will be clear-ups and there will be people on the ground making sure that that happens. Safety has been at the paramount for this in the planning, and it will be a lot more lighting in the area, there'll be a lot more CCTV, so it will be somewhere that we hope will be a safe space for people to come and sit and enjoy the events that's going to take place.
So this is roughly where the memorial will be?
Yeah, so it's going to be in this part of Cathedral Gardens, and the reason for that is because the International Bar was here.
The new and improved Cathedral Gardens will also be home to a new war memorial commemorating the lives lost during the Belfast Blitz.
It really is unusual, I suppose, compared with other cities in the UK, that Belfast has never had a public permanent memorial to those who were killed in those 4 air raids. So we think it's really timely now that there will finally be a public memorial, and that will be in place hopefully for the 86th anniversary next year.
For those whose work looks onto the gardens, it's a welcome investment.
We feel it'll create a sense of safety around the area, and also it fits really well with our inclusive brand and how we are running our business, so we're just really happy, and plus we can't deny it's going to be great to look at.
It doesn't really have like a public outside space really here, from what I know, so it's definitely good to have somewhere outside bright light and everyone can just imagine the summer here.
£300,000 was invested in Cathedral Gardens in 2020 during the COVID pandemic. That money will now be ripped up as part of the new plans.
Is that a waste of public money?
I don't think it is a waste of public money. At the time it was money well spent. It was during a pandemic and it was when people needed outdoor space, so we had to put that investment in to give them that. This being taken away now and redeveloped with £5 million worth of investment, I think is a positive.
Cathedral Gardens is set to reopen to the public next spring. For those who live, work and study here, this investment has been a long time coming. Eden Wilson, UTV Live.
Ulster Rugby will be without Jacob Stockdale for this week's Challenge Cup game against the Cheetahs, due to take place in Holland. Stockdale misses out with a rib injury after impressing for Richie's side over the last few weeks. Ulster moved up to third in the United Rugby Championship table over the festive period after two big wins over Connacht and Munster.
Overly positive, you know, to go down to Leinster. I know we dropped off a little bit, which didn't please us obviously, but to go down to Connacht, like a very hard place to go, and to get a win and then to beat Munster up here, it's left us in a really good place.
In Gaelic games, the McKenna Cup continues this evening with 3 games taking place.
Armagh host down at the Athletic Grounds. Fermanagh take on Cavan, while 2023 All-Star Gareth McKinless will make his first Derry appearance in 18 months when they take on Antrim. Will Esther reports.
After the frustration of Sunday's game with Donegal being cancelled due to the weather, Derry get their McKenna Cup campaign underway this evening when they face Antrim at Owen Beg. The Oakleafers are looking to respond after a dismal 2025, during which they failed to win a game in both the Ulster and the All-Ireland Senior Football Championships.
It was frustrating because we put in a lot of good performances last year, and we just felt like we just needed to get over the line in one of the games, because after you get a victory or a win, you can build a lot of confidence from that, and it's going to be like a snowball effect, but we just couldn't get that win. So we just want to bring a sense of pride back to Derry, because we're a big footballing county and we want to be playing on the biggest stages.
Kieran Mina returns to the county to take over as Derry boss, having previously been in charge in 2023 when he stepped in to fill the void left by Rory Gallagher's sudden departure, guiding them to an All-Ireland semi-final.
He loves this team, he loves his players, and as players we love playing under him, so he's going to bring a lot of energy to the group. He knows what standards that we sort of need. I guess in 23, we were a kick of the ball away from beating Kerry to get to the All-Ireland final. And Kieran stepped down that year, and he's went on to coach down now the last few years, so he's grown as a manager, so it's good to see him get his chance in a number 1 role this year, and he has a good team behind him, so we're full excitement.
Derry are set to blend youth with experience in the McKenna Cup as they look to bring through the next generation of footballers.
Lads are all blooded together at the same time. It's not easy, so if you have that mixture of youth and experience, the older lads can help try to guide them through the games and just keep on the right track, and whether it's a word of encouragement or setting a good example for them, they play a massive role.
Throw in at Owen Beg is at 7:30. Will Essler, UTV Live.
The ice at the SSE Arena is usually reserved for professional stars, but this week it has been taken over by some of Belfast's newest recruits.
Local young people are trading their trainers for skates to learn from the giants themselves. Lee McNally caught up with them.
Stepping onto the ice can be an intimidating prospect, but these young beginners are quickly finding their balance with a little help from the pros.
You having fun today?
Yeah.
What are you most excited about? Just skating with the giants. It's really different. We've done a couple of different things, but this one's different. I know how to ice skate and all, but it's just different to be doing it in the SSE Arena.
It's all part of the line change partnership between the Belfast Giants and Clanmill Housing. It's aimed at giving young people the skills and strength to succeed both on and off the ice.
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity to try something new. Obviously, ice hockey is not huge in Northern Ireland, and so them being able to come out to the SSE, play ice hockey, a lot of them for the first time, I think it's a cool opportunity. Hopefully, it builds a little bit of confidence, resilience, and a bit of crack.
The Lane Change, which is a fantastic programme for children that perhaps wouldn't have the opportunity to be here today to experience, being with the Giants. How amazing is that?
It's part of a wider mission to help young people build a positive future.
Our youth worker, there's just a big group of people that's just trying to get out of trouble and stuff, and just trying to get us to do things instead of getting in trouble and sitting in places.
They may have arrived as fans, but they're leaving as part of the team. Leah McNally, UTV Live at Belfast SSE Arena.
Now, another warning is in place for tonight.
And here's Ashley with the details.
After a cold start, temperatures are expected to rise. UTV weather, sponsored by the Grande Rona R290 heat pump.
Hello there, a very good evening to everybody at home. Well, a weather warning in place yet again for tonight for icy surfaces. Risk of ice forming almost anywhere, particularly on damp untreated surfaces. But plenty of showers out there at the moment. The breeze picking up overnight as well, so clear spells and scattered showers. And a chilly start for all of us first thing tomorrow morning. Widely, temperatures falling close to freezing. Certainly that will fall below freezing in more rural spots. Lows of around 1 to 2 degrees Celsius, but some brightness around first thing. That weather warning still in place through much of Thursday morning. But increasingly those showers start to fade, the winds drop out as well, and we start to pick up some clouds spreading in from the south. It's going to be cold, however, temperatures of around 4 degrees Celsius. That is below average for the time of year. Normally you'd expect temperatures to be at least 6 or 7 degrees. Now, further south across the rest of Ireland, we have the northern flank of Storm Goretti, and it is introducing some heavy rainfall across parts of the south and potentially, for a time, a little bit of sleet and snow as well. It's chilly with maximum temperatures of around 5 degrees Celsius. I'm just going to show you that bigger picture to see how that storm system is moving away. So relatively calm and quiet for us. Storm Goretti clears away to the east. And then we see some showers as we head through Friday, but a chilly start on Friday. And in general, as we head into the weekend, Saturday at the moment looks to be like a relatively calm and quiet day around with a little bit of sunshine. A little bit chilly despite the sunshine with highs of 5 degrees and an overnight frost, but all change on Sunday as a weather system pushes in some rain, but also something just a touch milder.
UTV weather, sponsored by the Grande Rona R290 heat pump.
That's it for now. I'll have the next local bulletin at 10:30.
ITV News continues now with Mary Nightingale. From all of us, have a very good evening.
Good evening.